This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to the new and improved Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. After many years of interviewing the best and brightest thought leaders around the world on my SiriusXM show, I am excited to now have those interviews available to people around the globe on this podcast. So many people would write us and say, I love what I've been hearing about your interviews with these great people. Where can I access them? I live in this country or that country, or I don't have access to that technology. How can I get the information? Well, I'm so excited now that we are able to offer the information and the interviews free on this podcast. So we want you to sit back and enjoy this message and let me know how you like them. And then do me a favor. If you like them, send a review, write a review and post it. And if you like it, hit like on here and share it and tell everybody you know about it, and then subscribe to this podcast so you'll get the alerts when we post a new interview episode. Thank you for listening and enjoy the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast.
Named one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world.
Inducted into the Speaker Hall of Fame.
Award-winning singer.
Best-selling author.
And now, here's Willie Jolley.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I am so excited that you've taken time out to come and be with me today on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast. I am excited because I've got a message and some information today that could literally change not just your life, but your family's life. Hey, think about this. A guy is working. He gets a bonus check. He says, what am I going to do with this bonus check? He decides to take that bonus check and invest it and buy something that he has an interest in, which is art. He takes that bonus check, $25,000, and he says, I'm going to buy some art. And I love art. I've always been interested in art. And he buys the painting. He keeps the painting for a few years. And someone comes to him and says, I love that painting and I want that painting, and buys it from him for $500,000. Woo! That's what we're going to talk about today, and what we can learn from one of the greatest art collectors, investors in our country today. He has success in many different areas. He's been successful in corporate and helping people to grow their business, but he's also been massively successful in investing in art. He's one of the great ones. His name is Reginald Van Lee. Oh yeah, I got him. I got Reginald Van Lee as my guest. You're going to want to hear this show. Stay tuned, because this one is a barn burner. Well, folks, you know I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. It's forced upon me. I can't refuse it. I didn't seek it. I did not choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer. If I lose it, give account. If I abuse it, just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. So I'm grateful for this minute, this moment, this opportunity to be on with each and every one of you. I am excited about today, and I'm excited about
the opportunities that this program will allow us all to grow with. So this is a powerful moment that I want you to be aware of. Now, I also, I start every show taking a moment to give God glory. Thank him for life and strength and health. I am grateful. I am grateful for every gift, every blessing. I am grateful. This is the #1 self-help show in the country now. I'm grateful that the books are bestsellers. My speaking is doing great and all the other things. But most of all, I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for friends. I'm grateful for health. And so you should make sure you take time to be grateful. There's something powerful about gratitude. So I give God glory. And I say to you every week, God's gift to you is life. Your gift to God is what you do with it. So do something extraordinary. And then I take a moment to thank our sponsor, Truist Bank. Two great banks decided to become an even greater bank. BB&T and SunTrust decided to come together and create a new entity called Truist, with a focus on care. And when you start with care, you build a different kind of bank, Truist. Well, my special guest today is a friend, and we have developed a great friendship. My wife loves him mightily. His name is Reginald Van Lee. Now, I will say, when I told some of my buddies, they said, who you got coming up? I told them I had Jane Kennedy and I had this one and I had that one. And then I said, and I got Reginald Van Lee coming. You got Reginald Van Lee on your show? I said, yes, I do. He is a man of many talents. He served as a director of Alix, a partner. And then before that, he was the chief transformational officer at the Carlyle Group. He retired from Booz Allen as executive vice president. He has been named one of the top consultants in the world. He holds a Bachelor of Science and a Master's of Science from MIT and an MBA from Harvard. And he serves as the chair of the Washington, D.C. Commission on the Arts and Humanities. He was previously appointed by President Obama to the President's Committee on the Arts and Humanities. And he is someone who has succeeded in the corporate arena, but also has an art collection that is iconic. So he's my dear friend, Reginald Van Lee. Reggie, how are you?
I am good. And after that introduction, I'm humbled. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
most importantly, I'm your friend.
That you are my friend, and I am grateful. Okay. You came from Houston, Texas.
Yes.
All right. Grew up in a house with parents who really encouraged you to find your best you. Am I right?
Exactly. I grew up with 4 older sisters, so I was the only boy and the youngest child. So I had all those women on me, but I was lucky, fortunate enough to grow up in a house with 2 parents, always a mother and father until the day my father died, preceding my mother. So that sort of support and love from my parents, from my sisters, from our community have propelled me through life.
Wow. As a child, though, you realized you had an interest in the arts. And I believe early on you wanted to be in the dance and fine arts. Tell us more about that.
Well, at the age of 2 or 3, I was already drawing. I remember taking a family trip, and I was in the backseat of the car, and my grandmother was in the front seat, and I drew the back of her head with very fine lines of her hair and everything. So my family said, this boy can draw. That interest in the art evolved into a dance. I took my first ballet class at the age of 4 and really enjoyed it, and continued taking ballet and dancing through elementary school, through junior high school, through high school. But in parallel with that, I had an interest and an aptitude in math and science. So I was both, the president of the science club, and I participated in the Houston Science Fairs. I won the Houston Science Fair twice, the first Black person, the first time I got it to win the citywide Houston Science Fair. So I had a very interesting mixture of an interest in the arts and an interest in math and science. So
then you went from you went on to do dance. I mean, I can't remember when we had dinner whether you were professionally dancing for a while but I know you had a dance background.
Yes. Well, in the continued crazy resume of mine, I finished MIT, and then I went to Alvin Ailey and danced professionally for a year. After all those years of ballet training, I said, I've got to try dance.
Right.
I've got to try it. And I felt at that point I could probably try dance and then do engineering, but I couldn't try engineering and then do dance.
Right.
So I tried dance, got that through my system, and discovered that the intention for me always was to be a patron of the arts. And so that experience in dance made me understand the arts in a way that someone who had not practiced the arts wouldn't. But then let me go to engineering, eventually to business school, and to become a business person, a corporate person that could really support and patronize artists.
Well, you've done that in a mighty way. Well, you went from your undergrad at MIT to your graduate program at MIT and then to Harvard. Now, before we go further into your career, I got to ask you about a story that I know about your counselor in high school who told you after you had applied to all of the Ivy League schools and got it accepted, called you out of your class one day to have a conversation. Talk about that.
Yeah, I was blessed or fortunate enough to apply to and get accepted at MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Stanford, a bunch of these Ivy schools. And so it got around the school that I got into those schools and got scholarships from most of them as well.
Wow.
And so my senior counselor, whose job was to do college placement, her job was to get you into colleges. Sent someone into the classroom to bring me to her office. I assumed to congratulate me on getting into all these great schools. And I had planned to go to MIT. I made that very clear to everyone. Instead, she proceeded to explain to me how I might be important for this little school here in Houston. But she'd hate for me to go to Boston and embarrass myself and waste my parents' money. So I should go to a local school where I could compete more.
Wow.
And for a second or two, that was devastating. And then I thought, I have my parents supporting me. I have all these people that are proud of me going, I'm going to go to MIT anyway. But that was her advice to me.
Wow. Well, there's the old radio guy, you say, now for the rest of the story, tell the rest of that story about her.
So as it ends up, 4 years later, when I graduated from MIT, she was still at my high school. And I went to the high school with my diploma and, shoved it into her face. And she proceeded to try to apologize for not being more encouraging. And I said, you have no idea how much you encouraged me, because when I didn't want to stay up late studying, I could hear you in the back of my head. And I was determined for what you said to me to not be true. So while I wanted to succeed at MIT, I really wanted to disprove her not really being supportive of me going to MIT. So I tell people all the time, especially mentees, haters always will exist. Haters won't exist. But haters have a purpose. Haters don't hate on you unless you're doing something they're envious of. So already there's something good you're doing. Build upon that. And if you can't do anything other than achieve because the haters didn't want you to achieve. And that's what I've taken through my life. I'm always looking for someone who doesn't want me to do something, and I'm challenging them to get it done.
Well, you've done well, and she would have to sit back and look and say, wow, at all the achievements from MIT. That was just an undergrad, then went back to get his master's in engineering. Am I right?
Yes, in civil engineering. Yes.
Okay. And then went on to get your MBA at Harvard. Am I right?
Yes.
He became a world-renowned consultant and business expert, and you became mighty successful at that. You made a lot of money in the corporate sphere. Am I right?
Well, I've been blessed. And I was able to parlay my various experiences into a career, not just a job, that I really enjoyed, that rewarded me financially, and that actually rewarded me spiritually as well.
Amen. Well, here's the big part, though. He didn't just let the money be something he earned. He made that money into something that made money by growing money, by creating wealth. And what we're going to talk about in a great part of this interview is art. And Reggie Van Lee is not just a provocateur of art in terms of promoting it with all of these art programs around the country and helping them and sitting on boards. He has one of the most expansive art collections in the world. And he is a art investor. And so in my new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better, on page number, let's see, page number 104 and 105. I said investment types, and there are many types of investments you can talk about. There's stocks, there's bonds, there's cash equivalents, real estate, commodities, crypto, collectibles, private equity, venture capital, peer-to-peer lending, derivatives, foreign exchange. But let's go back here to collectibles. They are tangible assets like art, wine, coins, stamps that may appreciate in value over time due to their rarity or cultural significance. He is one of the wisest wealth creators in the art sphere. We're going to talk about that, how you should know about art and know about what is possible and how he did it. And then we're going to talk about how to grow your wealth in multiple ways. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show. And for sure, the best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Friendship is not about being convenient. It's about being committed and consistent. I'm so excited about the response to my new book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. So many have said that the book has had a profound impact on their thinking. I wrote the book to teach others what I have been taught over the last 20 years, interviewing billionaire after billionaire. And most of those billionaires started with nothing. I want to offer you some of the most powerful chapters in the book as a gift. Go to richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com to read the free chapters so you can get on with growing your wealth. Get the free chapters at richisgoodwealthyisbetter.com. Hey, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and support for the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast comes from Truist Bank. When you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. When you become a homeowner, your future starts to feel different. That's power, knowing you could be creating generational wealth to pass down. Truist believes that a path to home ownership exists for you. I hear people say, well, I don't see how I could ever own a home. Truist has programs that could help you buy a home with a lower down payment than you might expect. And their professional guidance helps you build belief that home ownership is within reach. Connect with a Truist teammate to learn about options that are available to you. They will listen to your goals and follow through. Reach them by calling 855-562-1579. Do this for your family and your legacy. That number is 855-562-1579 or visit truist.com/homebuyer. That's truist.com/homebuyer. Certain programs and geographic restrictions may apply. Contact a loan officer for details. Truist Bank is an equal housing lender.
And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast. I want to encourage everybody to go to winwithwillie.com. Winwithwillie.com. That's my suite of sites where you can get access to all of my sites. You can get access to my positive thinking sites, my self-help sites, my business sites, my youth motivation sites. If you want to be a speaker, there's a site for you there. My music sites. We got lots of different options for you. So go to winwithwillie.com. And of course, follow me on all the social media. And then when you get to something that you like, I want you to follow it. I want you to comment, and I want you to share it. Okay. Do those things. Follow, comment, and share. My special guest today is my friend, Reginald Van Lee. I was telling, as I said, one of my friends, I said, his name is Eric Broyles. Eric Broyles called me the other day and he said, tell Reggie I said hello. He said, he's one of the greats. I said, I certainly will. Reginald Van Lee is well known across this country and around the world for his brilliance. That's the right word. Brilliance in creating business, scaling businesses, helping people to grow their wealth, and then his investments in art and other items that have been very, very good. When did you first start collecting art, and when did you realize it was a wealth building vehicle?
I think the first significant piece of art that I collected was probably in 1991. I had a friend who was an art collector and an art advisor as well. And we became friends otherwise. And then she said, you should start getting some art. As a matter of fact, she said, you need to get rid of some of that post-high school poster board stuff that you have and get some real art, original pieces, oils on canvas, etc. And she was kind enough as an art dealer to allow me to sort of buy stuff on time. To get a piece, take it, and pay her over time. Then every year when I get my annual bonus, I would pay off that debt and I'd get some more. But her advice to me was very important. She said that there's some artists that appear that the artwork will appreciate, but it's more important that you also buy art that you like. Art that's going to be in your space that's going to add value to you. So even if it doesn't increase in value at all, you enjoyed it being in your space. And so I have not bought some art that I should have that is really appreciated because I didn't like it. But I've been lucky enough to buy a number of pieces that I really enjoyed. And then it was difficult to part with them because I enjoyed them so much. But when she called and said, that piece that you bought for $25,000 15 years ago is now worth $500,000, I said, time to sell it. Time to sell it.
And that's what I want people to understand, that art can appreciate. It's a valuable asset. And unfortunately, far too few people in many communities don't realize the value of art and other collectibles. So what principles guide your decisions? You said already you got to like it and you appreciate it. And as it appreciates, you can appreciate it. And I think that's very important. But how does art compare to traditional asset classes like stocks, real estate, and others in your overall wealth strategy?
Well, it's not as though any one particular asset is always better than the other. So you can't really say go one way or the other. That's why, for me, it's important for me to like the art I'm buying as well. So if all else fails, I got that sort of psychic value out of it. But what I found is you have to do your homework.
Yeah,
there are some artists
that was one of my next questions.
You've got to do your homework. There's some artists that are appreciating. There's some programs, for example, the Studio Museum in Harlem in New York City has an artist in residence program. And so both the people that may apply to that program and certainly people that come through that program, you look back and you see a number of those folks are now great artists and artists with high value. So do your homework, go to art showings, see who are the up and coming hot artists, find that stuff that you really like, track them. Don't wait until the last minute. You just want to buy something and then sell it and think that's going to work. You have to make the investment. But you have to make the investment of time to educate yourself on what is of commercial value.
I want to stay there for a moment because so many people who are reading my new book have said that my talking about the importance of literacy and education. Don't take a hot tip or a hot stock or even a hot piece of art. Oh, this is so hot. It's going that you do your homework. You, just as Reggie said, you go to the art shows, you learn to appreciate art. You study art, you study the great ones, and then you get a better understanding of what you should be investing in. We were recently together at Juanita Britton's art gallery in Washington. It was myself and Reggie and Kathy Hughes, who also is now an art collector. And we were talking about the great pieces of art that Juanita has collected. And you've been working with her for years, haven't you?
Yes, for 5 or 6 years. Yes.
Okay. And she goes to Africa often and brings back these beautiful pieces of art. For those who I'm going to give Juanita a shout out, she's the Anacostia Art Gallery in Washington, and you should go to her gallery. I think it's open a couple of days a week and just be blown away. Well, Reggie.
Well, let me also warn people that some people are intimidated by art galleries and think that you have to have a lot of money. You have to know exactly what you're doing. The beauty of Juanita's shop, she has everything from very, very, very reasonably priced stuff to very, very high-end things as well. And you can see not only what a high-end piece looks like, but you can appreciate a piece that's affordable to you as well. So I would encourage you to check out her art gallery.
Yes, I highly recommend it. Well, you have been able to have this art. Now you got art in different cities. You got it all over the place. You have a personal art gallery in Houston. You have art in your places in New York and in Washington. And let me just tell you, Reggie is very humble. He's very humble. He's just easygoing. Everybody loves him, but he knows good when he sees it, and he knows exquisite. Let me tell you, at his wedding, Diana Ross sang. She sang. and it was I wasn't there, but I didn't know Reggie then, but I have heard about the wedding, and it was over the top. And that's because you do things first class. Every time I've been with you, everything's been first class. Dee and I just talk about that. Okay, so one more thing, I want to go back to your parents. Your mom.
Well, I was going to bring that point because that notion of living a top shelf life is what my parents instilled in me.
There you go.
Everything should be top shelf. And top shelf doesn't always mean expensive. Top shelf is just top shelf. I'm sorry.
Oh, I love that, because I was going to go back to your parents and the fact that your mother not only saw the drawing expertise, but she encouraged you with the word MIT before y'all even knew what MIT stood for. Tell that story.
It was interesting because my parents were very careful about what we were allowed to watch on television. So one of the approved TV shows was Star Trek. And I became a real Trekkie, from the beginning as a young kid. And I thought Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock were gods. Those are my deities, right? So this one episode of Star Trek, this guy comes on the USS Enterprise, and he had gone MIT, PhD, all of his degrees, MIT. And my gods were bowing and scraping to this guy. Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock were bowing and scraping to this guy from MIT. So I said to my mother, "What is MIT?" And she says, "I don't know, but we'll find out." So some days later, and this is before you could Google stuff and stuff online. This is a long time ago, because I started MIT in 1975. So this was probably 73 or so. And she came back and said, "That's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It's an engineering school in Boston." She says, "And that's where you should go to school." And I said, "That's where I'm going to school."
Wow.
It was just that simple.
Wow. I love that encouragement from your parents. Did they have an interest in art, or is this something that, and the, arts around the house or anything, or just something you developed over time?
It's something I developed, but they did have an interest. My mother in particular would take us to museums so we could appreciate and understand. So not only did we have those field trips in school around art, but my mother encouraged that as well. But they always appreciated beauty. So though we were not wealthy people, the house was always clean. There was always nice flowers or nice cushions on the sofa or something that said, we deserve to live a top shelf life. And don't spend all your money, but get the best you can for what you can afford.
Did they teach you about investing in terms of don't spend all your money? I want to go right back there. Don't spend all your money. Save and invest some of it. And did they talk about that?
Yes, my father's favorite statement was spend some and save some. So he would say spend some and save some. And my father was the treasurer of our church. Okay. So I saw him many, many, many days and nights at his desk doing the financials for the church. And so that notion of adding and investing and he was the treasurer when our church moved from one location to its much bigger location as well. And under his leadership, he watched the construction stuff and helped write the checks to the contractors. And so this notion of managing your finances to achieve something better was something that was instilled in us always.
That is fantastic. And that's one of the things that when we would talk, one of the things about Reggie, when we sit down and we spend time together, we don't talk about people. We don't talk about things per se. We talk about art. We talk about ideas. We talk about possibilities. And that's what we want you to be around, who talks about bigger ideas. I love this top shelf thinking, that you don't settle for just good enough, that you pursue excellence in everything. And Reggie has done that. When we come back from this next break, we're going to talk about how also you can grow yourself to grow your wealth, because Reggie is big on positivity, on networking, and on knowledge and mentorship. And that is something I want everybody to understand. These are keys, whether you're going to invest in any kind of commodity, whether stocks, bonds, equities, whatever, that you've got to invest. You can't just make money. You got to just not earn money. You got to have that money earning money for you. You got to make that money work. And that's what we want you to do. Well, we're going to be right back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast. And for sure, the best is yet to come. We're going to take a break for station identification.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I got an email from a gentleman in Australia who shared how he had been struggling in his business, and he bought some of my books and audios, and how it had a profound impact on his business, and he went from worst to first in his company. I shared with him how much I appreciated his note, but I told him those books, those audios, those videos were not just something that I just thought up one day and thought to write. They were born out of my experiences, out of the challenges of overcoming the problems and the difficulties and how I was able to do it. And I shared with him that others have sent similar messages and that these resources work. I want to encourage you and invite you to go to my store. Go to wjspeaks.com/shop. wjspeaks.com/shop. Get some of the books. It only takes a minute to change your life. Or a setback is a setup for a comeback. Or turn setbacks into greenbacks. Or chicken soup for the soul. Or an attitude of excellence. Or the book I wrote with my wife after 34 years of being married and not having an argument in over 30 years. We wrote a book called Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. And now it is saving marriages all over the globe. Go to the store, get some of the audios, the videos, the books, the resources to help you have greater personal and professional success. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Make this a great day on purpose.
And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast. So excited about being on with you today because you folks have made this show a major success, not just on the network where you can hear me every Saturday at 4 Eastern, channel 141, or you can hear me also Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6. But then you can hear me on the podcast 24/7. And a couple weeks after these interviews air on XM, they go to the podcast, and that's global. So tell your friends if they want to hear it over and over again, they can hear the shows on my Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. I also want to thank our sponsor, Truist. They're not just sponsor for this show, but also the podcast. And they are an incredible partner, and they walk their talk. They serve their communities and clients with knowledge and care every step of the way. And they help you unlock financial, incredible potential for yourself and your family, because when you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. See what knowledge and care can do for you at truist.com/unstoppable. Truist.com/unstoppable. Truist. When you start with care, you build a different kind of bank. Well, my dear friend is Reggie Van Lee, and I've learned a lot from him. I wasn't that much a provocateur of art, but I've learned and have had conversations and said, okay, I need to be more mindful and intentional about art, as well as being involved in helping young people. You're on a lot of boards, Reggie. I mean, how do you have any time to sleep? You're on like a million boards.
Well, my mother called me a faithful fool because I couldn't seem to find a cause that I wasn't attracted to or really wanted to help. And some of that comes from living in gratitude. I was blessed to grow up in a 2-parent family with sisters who adored me and encouraged me, with friends who encouraged me, with church members who encouraged me. And I think about the number of young people in particular who don't have that.
Right.
Don't have any of that, right? And I have been blessed to achieve a lot in life, but had it not been for all of that support, where would I be?
Right. Right.
And so I'm trying to find a way for those people who didn't have some of those advantages I had to provide that in some form or fashion to them. I mean, the arts were transformational in my life. So for kids and adults to experience the arts who hadn't experienced it before. I had great mentors in my life, starting with my parents, but going into corporate mentors as well. Some kids don't have that mentoring. So the work I do in mentoring is important. So everything that I do philanthropically goes back to a recognition that were it not for the way I was raised and those advantages I had, where would I be? And how can I help others at least live up to their potential because those gaps got filled?
Let's talk about mentorship, because I'm big on mentors. I tell people there are two ways to any goal in life: mentors or mistakes. Both will get you there if you don't give up. One just get you there, less headaches and knots on your head. So right. you've big on mentorship, and you've had mentors. Why should people understand, or what do you tell people about the power of mentorship?
I think there are two aspects of mentorship that are powerful. Usually the mentor has been through some of the things you've gone through. And instead of you going through it again, the long way, that sort of learning curve that they can share with you that can help you get through it better and faster is really important.
Yes.
Also, many mentors are in a position where they can help you. In a corporate environment, we call those sponsors as well. So maybe they're in the room when decisions are being made about promotions or decisions being made about who's going to be fired or who's going to stay on, right? Yes. And so that sponsor assistance is something that's really important. And so mentors can help you in that way as well.
I like that. It's two ways, and I like that sharing. Let's talk a little bit about you brought it up, and I really want to talk about, you've helped a lot of companies scale. You've helped a lot as a consultant, one of the top consultants. You worked with Booz Hamilton and then the Carlyle Group. You were the chief transformational officer, and that was a venture capital group. You've helped companies to grow exponentially. What are some of the things you recommend that companies do to grow their wealth, grow their self, grow their profits? What are some basics that people could be mindful of?
Well, I mean, this is going to sound perhaps too sappy, but it starts with core values. It starts with having a set of core values that can propel you through life. And those core values should be good values around teamwork, around diversity, around equity, around common sense. I mean, there's some just core values that you have, because as businesses scale, you can't be everywhere. The president or the CEO can't be everywhere every employee is. Right. So if you instill in every employee the core values, then when they're making decisions, they'll make those decisions in the context of addressing and adhering to those core values. So that to me is the most important thing to start with.
Go ahead. I think you're right on.
Yeah, and then you have to encourage innovation. Growth comes from innovation. Doing the same old thing the same way all the time may get you going a little bit, but it won't take you into a growth path. So this notion of how do you think creatively? How do you encourage people to think creatively? So this notion of creativity and innovation is something that companies have to invest in. They have to invest in and prop up those people that are creative and drive that innovation, even when sometimes things don't turn out. So you can't discourage people from taking risks, because then everybody does the regular thing that does not drive growth.
So don't let failure stop you, or the fear of failure. In other words, don't let the fear of failure stop you.
Exactly. Now, there's a difference between taking a risk that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
And a risk that you did all the calculations and it just didn't turn out, or it did turn out. So those companies that grow the fastest and that do the best are those that encourage innovation instead of thwarting innovation.
And you're big on being positive, staying positive, and filling your mind with the pure, the powerful, and the positive, whether it's faith-based principles, whether it's success principles, whether it's just the principles of good. Talk about that, please.
You know, I brag a lot that I live in joy and gratitude, always.
Yes.
And so no one's going to steal my joy, even in this current environment that we're in where there's so much stuff going on. Right. But no one's going to steal my joy, and because things could always be worse. So you need to appreciate that what you have. And I live in gratitude because I've been blessed in so many ways, and the universe will take things away from you if you aren't grateful for that which you have. Ooh. So that sense of positivity.
That's a big one, Reggie. That's a big one, that the universe will start to sap stuff away from you when you're not grateful and you're
Right.
living in gratitude. You're absolutely right.
Right. The universe says, "Oh, you don't appreciate that? Okay, let me show you the other end." Right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I try to encourage that with others, and I find that it is contagious. That my positive attitude is contagious on others, and then that reinforces it back to me as well. So I love to live in joy and gratitude.
So, as someone who has created knowledge, you already talked about importance of education with art. How about with investing as a maybe a bigger platform? Whether you want to invest in crypto or you want to invest in stocks or bonds, how do you encourage people to know the importance of knowledge?
Well, knowledge is important, period. I mean, it's always been important, whether it's around your profession or the way you want to invest or just how you carry yourself through life. But what I find is, back to my point about art, do your homework.
Yes.
You have to do your homework. Capital markets operate a certain way. Now, not everything is predictable, but there are some rules in capital markets that are pretty clear. If you do your homework, if you read institutional investment, if you watch the stock market, you can begin to understand from your own perspective, how can you get involved?
Yes.
And be prepared for it. Not everything works. You want to make sure that you win more than you lose, but there'll be losses. If you don't lose anything, then you didn't invest aggressively enough, I would argue, right?
I agree with you. And there is a principle-based logic to investing that when you take time to learn.
Right.
I heard a great proverb that says, if you have $5 to buy an extra loaf of bread or $5 to buy a book on self-help, buy the book.
Right.
Because then you read the book and it'll help you not only buy more bread, but help you buy the bread manufacturing company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And too many of us, I'll say, are ultimate consumers.
Yes.
But not investors.
Yes.
And don't even appreciate the power of our consuming.
Yes.
That if we stop buying stuff, it makes a difference. But we just kind of go through life constantly consuming and never being the owners, never being the people in charge. And so that mindset needs to change.
That goes to my one point that will follow you for your art investing, your business investing, discipline. Talk about the importance of discipline.
Well, once again, I'm advantaged there because in my ballet training, that is part of ballet. That you have to have a discipline, you have to have precision, you have to have stamina, you have to be able to connect with your audience, right? So this notion of discipline is something that was instilled through the training, and certainly, well, I guess it was instilled through my parents and reinforced through the dance training as well. But what you find is in the world, in the absence of discipline, you have anarchy.
Wow.
And so if you don't find in your own way to exercise some level of discipline, you'll never get to where you could get. And if you want to get to the best place you can get to in life, you have to exercise some discipline. That's everything from what you eat, what activities you do, what jobs you choose, what investments you make. In all cases, I think some level of discipline is required.
Wow. You've helped people make tough decisions in business.
I've had to make some tough ones myself, but yes.
Yeah.
And what I try to do is always try to bring as much data to the table as possible. You want stuff to be as fact-based as possible. But at some point, you run out of facts.
Yes.
At some point, you got to take a leap, right?
Yes.
And what I do is I call upon all of my past experiences. I mean, as they say, the sign of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. Right. So I learn from everything. And I love this quote from Nelson Mandela, who said, "I never lose. I either win or learn."
I love
even
that.
The worst situation, it's a learning experience. As long as you take the learning from it, it wasn't wasted.
As long as you're learning from it, you didn't waste it. But you got to learn. And we, living through this crisis time we're in now, what I often tell people, don't waste a crisis.
Right.
Don't waste it. Don't waste it. Learn from it. There are lessons to be learned here so that the next crisis down the road, we'll be better prepared for. Am I right about it?
Yeah, there's a good thing about a crisis. And in crises, somebody always figures it out and wins.
Yes.
So I want to be that person that's, instead of I'm fighting the crisis and I'm upset and losing my mind, I'm saying, no, what am I supposed to learn from this? How do I pivot? What is my next plan? Because I've also learned in life that many times plan B is better than plan A.
Amen. Amen. You know, John F. Kennedy said one of his speeches that the Chinese have a unique definition of the word crisis. It is at the same time danger and opportunity. Okay. And what we must do is be mindful of the danger and be aware of that. But also there's an opportunity in the book, Think and Grow Rich, that says that wherever there's an adversity, at that same point, there's a great opportunity. And so I want people to know that there are going to be crisis times, and we might be in one now. We've been in others, but learn from them so we're better. One of the things
let me add something here. I think I got the number right. I think during COVID, America created 50 new billionaires.
Wow.
During COVID.
Wow.
50 additional billionaires are created in America. So somebody figured out, how do I take advantage of what's going on instead of sit back and be a victim of what's going on?
Wow. That's a great place to take another break. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Way Show with my special guest, Reginald Van Lee. We'll be right back. And for sure, the best is yet to come. We'll be right back.
Motivated, highly motivated, motivated, gonna take it to the top. Motivated, highly motivated, motivated, I'm never gonna stop. I had a job I really hated. It made me sick, but it got me motivated. I knew that this was not where I was meant to be. I didn't want to stay, but I was too afraid to leave. Then one day I got my check, there was almost nothing there. I went to the cross, he laughed and said he didn't care. My kids were at home hungry, I was about to lose my home. That's when I decided I had to make it on my own. Said I, gonna take it to the top. I said
Hey, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, here to thank Truist Bank for their sponsorship of the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast. Now, if you're a longtime Wealthy Ways listener, you know I believe that mindset is the key to success, and so does Truist. That's why they've created their incredible resource, Money and Mindset. It's full of tips to help you with your finances and help you with your well-being. You can get articles, quizzes, calculators, and hey, even more podcast information that will bless you, all for free and for anyone to use. Check it out today at truist.com/money and mindset. Truist.com/money and mindset. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care, and Truist Bank is a member FDIC. Leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
And we're back. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways show and podcast around the globe. And my special guest is my dear friend, Reginald Van Lee. And Reggie, we have talked about so many things that you are such an expert on, or you've talked about the fact that you help businesses scale. You've been a great consultant. You've done that for small businesses. You've been a venture capital. Talk about for a moment, we're talking about venture capital. I'm an artist in residence at High Point University. They actually have a class on venture capital. And I sat through the class when I was there for my visit. And the fact that many people don't realize that venture capital is looking for those potential businesses. And the guy said, you know, most of our investments don't pay off that well, but we find one or two that do very well. Is that correct?
That is true. And that's the venture part of it. You're venturing into something that may or may not work, right? But in the absence of the capital for it to work, it wouldn't have worked anyway. So you need to find those opportunities that all they really need, or what they mostly need, is just capital investment. You're looking for businesses, enterprises that really need capital, but have most of the other elements of success, but is short in capital. And that's the glory of, or the magic of, or the science of how one chooses where you invest as a venture capitalist.
My dear friend David Rubenstein has been on this show a couple times, and I know he was one of the founders of the Carlyle Group. And I know when you decided to leave, he tried to talk you out of it, didn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In David's mind, there's nothing better in the world than the business that Carlyle is in.
Yes.
And so why would anybody who was ever there want to leave? But I learned what I needed to learn there and felt that I could then take those learnings to the next place in my life.
And so you've invested in art. Are there other asset classes that you feel you have learned about that help people understand the importance of asset accumulation?
Well, I've done a fair amount of theater investing, Broadway investing, and other theater shows, and I've lost a lot of money and I've made a lot of money.
Okay.
But again, I've invested in things that I enjoyed. So if nothing else, I got the enjoyment of supporting a friend, supporting a piece of work that needed visibility and exposure, that couldn't get capital investment from someone else. But I've been blessed to have some investments that did really well. And I also invested in startups. I actually currently chair the board of 2 startup technology companies. And, with luck, that will turn into something phenomenal. And I've been in other startups that have, really reaped some real benefits for me.
Wow. I love this. Okay. So we're going to do what I do in every interview. If we were to go to, you were doing something in DC and Dee and I came and we hung out with you. And then we went over to Howard University or American or GW or Georgetown, whatever. And we went to a business class of young, wannabe, hungry students who want to be successful in business and in life. Tell them some you got us. In order to be successful over the long term, not just the short term, but the long haul, here's some you got us. You got to do these things.
Well, it's funny because at one point in my life, I paused to write my memoir. Now, it's not published, so can't find it anyway, but it was just putting down on paper my thoughts and my lessons learned over the years. And what I discovered is I have lived by what I call 4 C's for most of my life.
Okay.
The first C is courage. Because the world will constantly tell you what you cannot do. And you have to have the courage to go and do something that the world said you couldn't do. My high school counselor said, don't go to MIT.
Right.
And I may have done just fine if I had gone to any other school, but I know part of my success in life has been from my having gone to MIT. But it took some courage. When an adult whose job is to get you into college tells you don't go to that college, it takes courage for you to go against that. So courage is very important. And each of us need to not be courageous every day and not be stupidly courageous, but pick those really strategic moments where now this is a bet I need to make on myself and be courageous. Wow. The second C is confidence. And what I find is you have to surround yourself with people who help build your confidence, not people who just say yes to you all the time.
Right.
But people who are there really to give you the right sort of information. And if all else fails, you can fall back on them. That confidence building is important. And even those haters can be a part of that because the haters are there to let you know you're doing something outstanding that I'm jealous about. And that I'm going to use that hater's feelings about me to propel me to do it in spite of their hating me on it.
I love it.
The third C is competence. You have to be competent. You have to do your homework. You have to learn your skill. You have to develop your craft. You can't fake it around. You got to really dig in and get things done so that if all else fails, you have that learning, you have that intelligence, you have that experience, and no one can take that away from you.
Yes.
And the fourth C, which I found to be the most important, is community. We all come from or are part of a community, and you have to feel like you're part of that. You have to feel like that's a network you can fall back on. Otherwise, it gets very lonely out there doing it all by yourself.
Yes.
So community is important. So courage, confidence, competence, and community.
Let me tell you with this community, because one thing everybody knows about Reggie Van Lee, he is a people person. He loves people. I mean, he just loves people. When Reggie Reggie coming, he's gonna have some people with him because he just he loves people.
There's safety in numbers. There's safety in numbers, Willie.
and so my wife and I are part of his community, and he's part of our community, and we love him. And so that's one of the big things that is that your faith that taught you, because your faith, you make it clear, I'm a person of faith.
Yes.
And how your faith inspires your life to go forward. Isn't that right?
It is. It's true. It's really true. And so I don't want to be preachy, and all of us can have our faiths in all sorts of ways. But to know that we are part of a bigger thing.
Yes.
And that there are high orders in our lives and in this world. And that, in my opinion, we're put on this earth to help each other.
Yes.
To be helpful and to be helped, and to receive that help and to give that help. And I've told people the best way to gain power is to give it away.
Amen. Amen. You do that so wonderfully, and you are so kind. Well, any closing thoughts, Reggie, on helping people with art? Now, you've said do your homework.
Yes.
Start small. Start small. Be willing to start small. And when do you know when to sell, though? How do you? You said, when people make you offer. Well, when do you know if you really love something? I love that piece of art, but somebody. How do you know when it's time to get your profit out of the investment?
That's a personal choice. I mean, for me, if that $25,000 piece was now $30,000, it's not worth selling to me. Okay. But when it had 20 times increase in value,
yes,
it's time to sell. What that allowed me to do was to take that money that I earned and buy more art and invest again, so that I could double or triple from that one base. I could continue to grow and scale the value and scale the income. So
last thing, you also are philanthropic. You are philanthropic. And that means, Nito Cobain at High Point University teaches that philanthropically thinking is that you are a friend of mankind, and that you're helping others. And you've said that, but you're very philanthropic.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something you can manufacture. I just enjoy people, and I enjoy the interactions with people. And I've seen the value of my helping someone and what that's done for them. So for me, I get more than I give every time I give.
Wow. Well, give your sisters my and Dee's regards, because they are no part of your community, and they kind of oversee some of your art galleries. Am I right?
They do. They oversee it all. And they get the hard work of keeping things in order.
They keep things in order. They keep the family, and your family is important, because y'all have a big old ranch down in Houston that. Am I right?
Yes, we have a family compound, and the story is my great-grandmother, a black woman in rural Texas, in 1899 purchased 38 acres of land. This is not 40 acres and a mule that was given to her. Purchased 38 acres of land. And so I have continued to keep that in the family. And of course, over the years, they got sold off and split up and that sort of thing. So I was able to recapture all the original acres and build a 20,000 square foot family compound in which my sisters and I live. When I go down to Texas, that's where I am, but they live there all the time.
And you got a lot of art in that place. And it's
about 500 pieces.
Wow. Well, Reggie, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule. You got a lot on your plate, but you are such a good friend and somebody who I wanted to make sure that everybody knew about art, as well as scaling businesses, and as well as living a life of top shelf. And so we want to thank you. I want to thank again Truist Bank for being a great sponsor and a great friend. Folks, when you need a bank and you need a mortgage, I encourage you, just go to truist.com. They even have things on their website that are free that will help you grow your wealth yourself. And then, folks, I want everybody to go to Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. .com. This book is out now. One of the things that I've been blessed with, that some of the interviews I've done have had the same response from the interviewer who's read the book. They say this book, they consider to be the sequel to Think and Grow Rich. And I said, wow. It talks about changing your thinking, growing yourself so you can grow your wealth. And it does two things. One, helps you grow your wealth. And two, help you teach your children how to maintain that wealth so they won't squander it, and they will be able to have real generational wealth. So Get the book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. Join us on Monday nights for the Jolly Marriage Show. Dee and I talk about how 40 years have gone by in an instant. We've learned a lot about how to stay together, how to not have an argument. Haven't had an argument in 38 years, and we want others to know how we do it. So go to jollymarriage.com, watch the TED Talk, How to Never Ever Argue Again in Marriage. And then, folks, make sure that you help somebody, that you're kind to somebody, that you're caring with somebody, and that you give God the glory. This is Dr. Willie Jolley on the Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways Show and podcast. And for sure, your best is still yet to come. Have a great day. God bless you.
And everybody's right sometimes. Some rain's gonna fall. And everybody's house sometimes. Trouble will come. But when trouble stops by, you can sit there and cry. Or you can make up your mind. You're gonna stand up and fight. Hey, people, listen closely to the sound of my voice. Success in life is never due to chance but to choice. You choose to go on, to go through the storm, or you choose to give up, give in, and throw in the towel. Oh no, up to you, it's up to you. You win or lose, whether you win.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode, and I hope you got something of great value. And I hope that you were inspired, you were motivated, you were empowered, and you were encouraged to live your best life. I hope this information and this inspiration will help you to do more, be more, and to achieve more. That's the goal why I started this program, and I hope it helped you in a mighty way. Now, I ask you to make sure and that you take full advantage of all the resources that came through this program. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/gift and get some of the free resources that we have there for you. I hope you go to wjspeaks.com/shop to get some of the books that we have created, that we've labored over to make sure that they will deliver a powerful message to you. I hope you go to williejolly.com/billionaire, williejolly.com/billionaire, or wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get the box that it will inspire your whole family, or get the bag of books. Make this a great day, a great week, a great month. And remember, it is true that you are blessed and all things are possible for them that believe. So make the most of the belief that you have now in your future. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.